So Nvidia has kind of revealed some pretty terrifying information that's probably very shocking if you're a PC gamer. This really, first of all, has to do with their financials recently. Why is it shocking? I mean, look at the last 2 years. It seems like GPUs only went up. Like the prices got ridiculous because availability was very, very tough. You couldn't find anything, and when you did, the price was extremely expensive, causing a lot of people to run over to the secondhand market. And then, of course, they would have to pay the friendly neighborhood scalper, not Spider-Man, just your friendly neighborhood scalper, a considerable amount over what Nvidia wanted for its MSRP. Like a 3080, supposed to be $699, people were selling it for over $2,000. I remember back in May of 2021, specifically that GPU. I mean, that was really shocking. And of course, really not sustainable at all. So what happened that Nvidia's, financials took such a drastic turn for the worse? I mean, it really dropped off the face of the earth, and it was very, very surprising. If you went off what happened during the last 2 years, any regular company or regular market that has that type of growth, you never think it's going to have a sudden downturn, even when the economy's not doing too great. It was really, really very, very shocking. Now, of course, there were various reasons why this happened. You could say, as Nvidia does, it's all macroeconomics, things happening around in the world. And of course, specifically, Ethereum mining is going to be one of the biggest things that I think really dropped the price a significant amount. Now, as you guys know, the merge, when Ethereum goes from proof of work, which is mining using GPUs, to proof of stake, which is going to pretty much eliminate GPUs, that's supposed to happen actually coming up now in the middle of September. So all of the large operations that were buying GPUs and even hobbyist cryptocurrency miners, you can bet during the last several months they stopped buying GPUs, and that was one of the major factors that affected the current Nvidia price drop. Now, I've said this many times before, Nvidia was never really transparent as to who was buying the GPUs. Priced pretty good is a Windows CD key. Today's video sponsor is going to be VIP-CDKdeals.com. Very simple process. You can get a Windows 10 Pro CD key. You're going to go into Windows, you're going to go into your settings, and then you're going to navigate over to where you can enter the CD key. And then after a few seconds, you'll see that Windows is activated, and remember to use code CC20 for a nice discount. They, of course, are a gamer company. They always say that, oh, gamers are first. They even had LHR on these GPUs to try to make it seem like they were really on the gamer side. But as you can see, when Ethereum drops off the face of the earth, the gamer demand simply is not there in order to sustain the type of growth and numbers that they had. Even if it really was gamers, even sort of in a little bit of a depressed economy, you would have had much better numbers than that. I mean, the prices that they had to drop on these GPUs, it's pretty ridiculous. Like a 3090 Ti, which was the fastest GPU at the time that it came out, $2,000 is very expensive by any stretch of the imagination. But if you compare it to the 3090 at $1,499, $500 bump in a market that was really hot was supposed to actually sound reasonable. But gamers said, no way, that is not reasonable at all. Cryptocurrency miners were not buying it, and in turn, there was no secondhand scalper market to buy it at $2,000 and sell it at $3,000 like they were doing with 3090s. And quickly, that GPU at retail, we saw it for as low as around $1149, and now people usually don't even buy it at that price. They're pretty much staying on the shelves as Nvidia had an abundance of these GPUs. So that is a pretty big shock. And of course, the lower end GPUs, like the mid-range, those have taken a much longer time to adjust in price. The higher end ones, 3080, 3090 specifically, and the 3090 Ti, they took the biggest haircut out of any of the other GPUs. So this is going to have some pretty big ramifications for RTX 4000 coming up. I think that if Nvidia, as they said also when they were talking about their financials, they have a huge inventory problem. People aren't buying GPUs, and they have a lot of them. So they have to clear them before they can release something new. What's going to happen when they release something new? It's going to destroy the already low value of the GPUs that are currently, even brand new, not only retail, but sort of in the factories of all the third-party AIBs. It's going to further diminish those values, and they're going to lose a ton of money. Not to mention, if people can buy like an RTX 3080 or 3090 or even a 3070 Ti for a very cheap price from a retailer that just wants to get rid of it, not to mention on the secondhand market, if the market does happen to get flooded later on this month, if Ethereum does go proof of stake without any other delays, which could still happen, of course. They've been delayed numerous times. That's going to be a massive glut of RTX 3000 GPUs on the market. Very cheap prices, much cheaper than now. And Nvidia is going to have a very tough time selling their new generation RTX 4000. They have to sell the 4090, 4080, the new generation, especially to their investors and everything like that, as progress, technology getting better, the next big thing. Remember, Nvidia is not playing this game alone anymore. You have AMD, who are being hyper competitive in the high-end GPU market, and even Intel trying to get in. They've had problems. They haven't really broken through yet, but at least AMD has been pretty competitive, and you can bet RDNA 3 may give Nvidia a run for its money, much like the 6900 XT. Even though it didn't outsell Nvidia GPUs, certainly performance-wise, there were many aspects of it that were very impressive, like traditional rasterization, and for the price, a lot of times it was equal or even a little better than the RTX 3090, of course, not counting ray tracing and things of that nature. So that's going to be a major point. Competition is here not only from AMD against Nvidia, but also from their own GPUs out on the market. So it's Nvidia against Nvidia. We're talking about RTX 3000 getting cheaper. Who's going to buy RTX 4000? Of course, the enthusiasts that want a 4090, they're going to pay up whatever Nvidia wants. I would guess that GPU probably has to be at the very minimum what a 3090 was, $1499. Nvidia may even price it at $1999 to equal the 3090 Ti. That's what you would have expected, maybe even a little bit more if the market had stayed stable, but as it is now, the market, really nobody's buying at all, so I don't think Nvidia wants to price it and have the same thing happen to the 4090 as happened to the 3090 Ti. Imagine the 4090 comes out and within a few months it's already half the price. That could really happen if the market is really depressed enough where after Ethereum goes proof of stake, imagine if there's a huge GPU flood. We're not sure if that's going to happen, but it happened a few years ago, last time crypto crashed, so this is a very real possibility. Prices are just going to get so low and there's going to be so much on the market that the new retail expensive GPUs aren't going to have any chance at all at being really popular like RTX 3000 was. So this is going to mean a lot for gamers. They may stifle innovation going forward. Well, why is Nvidia going to release another faster GPU if nobody's going to buy it at the price that they want? So we may see some funny times during the next year or two. RTX 4000 is going to be a very interesting generation. There's a chance also that it could mean Nvidia is going to have to get even more competitive with the pricing and performance, meaning that while RTX 3000 prices will continue to go down, RTX 4000 may have to be priced lower for the performance that you're getting, and Nvidia may have to do faster updates, especially with the competition really hot on its heels like AMD. That could actually end up being a pretty positive note for gamers if Nvidia really has to compete with its old stock as well as AMD, and we get much cheaper pricing for the new generation. But of course, if that happens, gamers that overpaid perhaps for an RTX 3000, they're going to take even bigger of a depreciation hit if RTX 4000 has to be that competitive in a much sooner period of time. We're talking about within a year and within that 2-year scope of a usual generation, much more than they're used to. I mean, look at the 1080 Ti. That stayed pretty highly priced for several years ever since it's been released. Even the 2080 Ti, they stayed fairly highly priced, so people enjoyed a long time of a really good value on their GPU. Doesn't make the performance any worse, just the price according to the market may go down. If RTX 4000 doesn't sell that well and has to get even cheaper, it's going to crush all of the old generation stuff, and trust me, there's a lot of it out on the market today, not only in the retail shelves, but stuff that's been sold during the last several years. So we're going to see what happens, but definitely some pretty shocking and different times for gamers that are pretty unprecedented and that we've never seen before. All right, guys, so let me know what you think is going to happen. What's your prediction for RTX 4000? Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.